Good evening, everybody, and welcome to my working lunch with Liam. We are live on Facebook and YouTube. Thank you very much for joining us this evening. You will have noticed, possibly, or not noticed at all, that I've been quite absent for 3 weeks, but I'm back with a bang, and back to provide you with a bit of, hopefully, some light relief, some entertainment, and also some knowledge through this lockdown period. I know we're all mainly stuck at home, so hopefully it can provide you with some inspiration, certainly for your business and your working life, and just give you something to watch. And thank you very much for joining us wherever you may be. You may be around the world, you may be in the UK, you may be in Lancashire, where I am based. Thank you very much for joining us. Now, I am back. We have some fantastic guests that we've had over the past 10 weeks or so during lockdown. But tonight is a little more special. My guest tonight is Dr. Ivan Misner. Dr. Ivan Misner is the founder of BNI. Today, the organisation has over 9,500 chapters in every populated continent in the world. He is a New York Times bestseller. He's written 24 books. He's been featured in the LA Times, the Wall Street Journal, the New York Times, as well as the BBC and the Today Show on NBC. He has been called the father of modern networking by CNN and one of the top networking experts in the world by Forbes. He's considered to be the world's leading authority on the topic of networking. Additionally to this, the John C. Maxwell organization recently named him the Transformational Leader of the Year. It gives me great pleasure to bring onto my stream Dr. Ivan Misner. Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, Ivan.
Hello, Liam. Very good talking to you. And please call me Ivan. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Ivan. Now, I always ask this to every one of my guests. The first question, as a bit of an icebreaker: how are you? Where are you? And what can you see right now?
Well, I'm doing great. First of all, thank you very much. Doing really well. Healthy, and family's doing well. I'm in. This is my office in Austin, Texas. My home office in Austin, Texas. So, I've been stuck at home working, and this is not too bad a place to have to work. So, out of this window here, I have a floor-to-ceiling window on both sides. Here, I'm watching deer as they walk by, and some other wild animals that we have. Pretty tame wild animals here in Austin, Texas. Yeah. But beautiful view.
Very brilliant. So, well, thank you very much for that. At least we know now what you're looking at, which is very important, of course. So, Ivan, let's get into the nitty-gritty. BNI, it's been around for a long time, we know that. You look a young man, but it's been around since 1985. In that 35 years, you'll have seen a whole host of challenges. But of course, this period of time is very unique. How does this period of time compare to other challenges that you've faced?
Well, I think everyone recognizes that this is different than anything else we've ever experienced. Certainly for BNI. You think about BNI, we've been around 35 years. But we are a total in-person meeting. So we literally have 9,500 groups that meet every week in person. And so it has been highly disruptive, obviously, for our organization. Luckily, we have a CEO. I stepped down from CEO a number of years ago, and the CEO was looking around a corner, and he saw this coming. He started transitioning our groups to online in January in Asia, then February in Europe, and then the rest of the world was by March. So we now have 9,500 meetings online every week until it's safe for people to meet in person again.
Incredible. Of course, you look back all them years. That idea, where was that a spark? Was it overnight? Did you think, you know what, this is what I want to be doing? This, because surely that can't come just overnight. This organisation that changes the world.
Well, and that's our vision statement, changing the way the world does business.
Of course.
So no, before I started BNI, I was a management consultant, and I was looking for referrals for my consulting practice. And I had gone to a lot of networks that some of them they were mercenary. I'd go to the meetings and everyone was trying to sell to me. And I'd go home, I felt like I'd been slimed and I needed to get a shower because I just, didn't want to do business that way. Then I went to these other groups that were totally social. It was happy hour and hors d'oeuvres, and no one was doing business. And I didn't like either of those. What I wanted to do was to take a focus on business, but not mercenary, the focus on social and make it relational, and merge the business and the relational into a format where the glue that would hold it together is our principal core value of givers gain. This idea that if I help you, you'll help me, we'll all do better as a result of it. And so I started one group. I only planned on having one group. And people kept coming to me asking me, because we only take one person per profession. So once you have a room full of professions, you can't join. So people would ask me to open a second group. And I said, okay. And at the end of a year, we had 20 groups. And that was when I realized I struck a chord in the business community that I didn't expect. Business people want referrals and they didn't know how to do it. So then that's when I created the plan to scale BNI and turn it into what is now a global organization. It's more than 70 countries.
Incredible. I mean, you couldn't have fathomed how far it would go and how many lives that it would affect. We're in 2020 and it's as strong as ever. Yeah,
it's as strong as ever. So far, we've had 35 years of consecutive growth. We'll see how this year is with COVID, but so far we've had 35 years of consecutive growth.
Absolutely. You've got a brilliant gentleman, Graham, at on the tiller of the ship as well, who's doing a marvelous job.
Yeah, Graham Weimiller. I have the highest respect for him. He's very good at what he does, and he's the gentleman who was looking around the corner and saw this coming before I did, and really did a wonderful job of transitioning. I mean, I could have seen the organization go up in flame. 35 years of my work go up in flame, and I think he really saved the business.
Absolutely, and it comes back to that tradition and innovation, which is one of the core values, of course, as a BNI. I mean, and that's never been used as much in the last 5-6 months, of course.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. Now, ironically, I wrote an article 2 years ago for Entrepreneur, and I said in this article that the future of face-to-face meetings is online. And when I said that in this article, much of my organization was like, "Oh no, say that's not true. I mean, how you're the in-person king, the networking in person." And I said yes. However, technology is changing, and that as you get more mixed reality, holographic technologies, the more likely you are to start seeing a lot of face-to-face meetings being done online versus in person. And so I predicted that it would happen, but I thought it would happen within 5 to 10 years because of the technology. I didn't see the COVID virus coming, but I think it's inevitable that this transition. I think BNI would either eventually be disrupted or we could lead the disruption. And I vote for leading the disruption.
Brilliant. You use a great phrase, and I saw you present about 4 or 5 weeks ago now, and you use a great phrase, which is and it's very philosophical, the great pause, which is how you describe the current situation. I mean, just explain that, if you wouldn't mind, the great pause and the unpause, I think you call the end of this.
Yeah. So, I've heard everybody talking about quarantine. They're in quarantine. They're in lockdown. And I like as much as possible to put as positive a spin on things that happen to us in life, even negative things, because it gives you a different mindset. If you have the right mindset, you can really work your way through most challenges in life. I truly believe that. I mean, I'll give you an example. Yeah. When I was diagnosed with cancer 8 years ago, I had a 2-hour drive after I left the doctor to meet my family down in San Diego. And I was living in LA then. And I sat there and I thought, okay, well, this is really serious. I wonder what the possible positive outcomes would be. And Liam, I made a list and I came up with about 8 or 10 things that I said, okay, this is a horrible situation, but what could come out of it? What could be good that would come out of this? Mm-hmm. And I came up with a list. Every single one of the things I said could be possible positive outcomes came true.
Brilliant.
And so I think mindset is important because it tells us how we need to behave. Mm-hmm. What's happening is so many people are frozen in fear because of this horrible situation. What I suggest is that fear needs to focus you. And it begins with mindset. And so rather than calling it lockdown, rather than calling it quarantine, I decided to call it the Great Pause because the pause button has been hit on all of our lives. And pretty soon the play button will be hit again. We'll hit the unpause or play. And when that happens, those people who have invested in themselves over the last several months, who've been pouring into themselves, who've been creating a plan, who've been still networking. You know, I don't like the term social distancing. It's physical distancing. We need to be more social than ever, but physically distant. So those people who have a plan, have stayed connected, they're going to come out of this much stronger than the people that are frozen in fear and watching the news for 8 hours a day about how bad things are. The news loves to tell you how bad things are. So microdose the news.
Absolutely right. You're absolutely right. And I know you're a great watcher of the BBC. That's your go-to news source.
It absolutely is. As a matter of fact, it's the first thing that I go to every morning. There it is, BBC, right there on my app. And I'll tell you why. I find that they are a little bit more unbiased. They're less biased than a lot of the news outlets that I see. And so I like to get reasonably unbiased news.
Absolutely right. Absolutely right. So how much then does you? So I've got people watching now, and they, we are from. I'm in Lancashire, in England, and it's quite industrial. They are small towns rather than metropolises of cities, and people have gone through some hard times. We don't use the phrase lockdown too much, but they've struggled. But they might be thinking, well, actually, there's opportunity here. How much does having a network help them start that business, build that business? I'm not just talking about BNI, but actually a support network of any kind.
Yeah, well, so, we have gone from the COVID virus to recession. Most of the world is moving into a recession or has moved into a recession. And I'll tell you one thing, I've been through, this would be my, I think, fifth recession, fourth or fifth recession in the last 35 years. And every single recession I have been through with BNI, our membership has grown.
Yeah.
Because when times are tough, you need your network more than ever. You need to be connected with people. And so I urge people to really activate their network and go deeper in their network. If you haven't started creating a network, there's an old Chinese proverb that I like. It's when's the best time to plant an oak tree? And the answer is 20 years ago. When's the second best time? Today. So if you haven't built your network, start today. Start building your network so that you can get through difficult times. I've seen certainly BNI members who've not only survived recessions, but they have thrived during recessions because they have a powerful personal network. So yeah, your network is really important today more than ever.
Absolutely right. And also with that, it's having the right network and the right people. I've got one of your books out, which I read, Who's in Your Room, which is one of your latest books. It talks about having the right people in your room, in your headspace, in your network. That's as important, isn't it, as being part of it's not
it
sometimes is. With its depth as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And so the irony of that book is that it's actually not about networking at all.
Mm.
However, it's kind of about networking because networking is about relationships.
Yeah.
And that book is about the relationships that you have. And for the people watching, do you mind if I give like just a 2-minute overview of the concept?
No, absolutely right. Go ahead, please. Saves me talking.
Imagine, here's the idea, and you've got a copy of the book. Look how thin it is. It's a quick read. I mean, that's a thin book. We had it 4 times larger, and we decided to make it really actionable and tight. And so here's the concept of the book. Imagine that you live your life in one room, and that one room has only one door. And that one door is an enter-only door, so that when people come into your room or into your life, they're there forever. You can never get them out. Now, luckily, it's a metaphor. But if it were true, Liam, would you be more selective about the people that you've let into your life?
And as I was reading the book, I was saying you're absolutely right. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what everybody says. And we argue that it's more than a metaphor because... And here's why. I want you to think about someone, Liam, and if you're watching this, I want you to think about someone as well who you had in your life, but you kicked them out of your life. You got them out of your life. Because I have people who say, well, the room is an interesting metaphor, but you can get them out of your room. Let's talk about that. So I want you to think of, Liam, somebody that was in your life and you got them out. And I want you to think about why. And if you're watching this, I want you to think about someone you got out of your life and why you got them out of your life. What did they do to you that angered you or frustrated you? Now, I'm not going to ask you who it is, Liam, but do you have somebody?
It's no, yes, I do, absolutely.
All right. So everyone who has that, here's the thing. If they're still in your head, they're still in your room. And they will be for the rest of your life because the things that they did to you will impact your decision-making for the rest of your life. Good or bad. It could be a good relationship. It could be a bad relationship. But one of the people we interviewed was Dr. Daniel Amen, who's a neuroscientist. And he said, people's fingerprints, when you have a relationship with someone, professional, personal, their fingerprints are all over your brain for the rest of your life. And so the whole concept of the book is we have to learn how to screen people from coming into our life more effectively. And then we have to learn how to deal with them once we let them in.
Absolutely right. It is. I've just seen on the comments on the Facebook chat that it is a must read. So anyone, please go and have a look at that book. It takes you a weekend a night. It really is a great read. So if you wouldn't mind, I mean, I'm the president of a chapter in Lancashire. So if you won't mind me being a little bit selfish and just asking you some kind of BNI centric question, because there are a lot of my colleagues and a lot of BNIers who will be looking at this. Of course, one of the main issues at the minute, I would say, is that people are saying, well, we're not seeing as many people because we were online. Even our work meetings are online. But yeah, so finding referrals for people is a little bit more difficult. What are the tips and that you may be able to provide them members who are struggling? Maybe they think they're struggling to find referrals.
Well, it's a little harder to give referrals because not everybody is able to provide the services that they want. But business is being done in the last 2 months for March and April. We don't have May's final numbers yet, but March and April, the organization passed or generated for our members. We passed enough referrals to generate almost $2 billion worth of business worldwide from the referrals that we've done. So even in the middle of the great pause, business is being done. And yeah, it is a little, it's a change and people have a hard time dealing with change. So, I think as time goes on, we're going to go back to in-person meetings, but I think the online is a great way to do business. And I think you're going to see referrals go up more and more and more when people are released to go back to their offices and actually do business. But business is being done now.
Yeah, people getting to know each other actually more, I think, because there is more opportunity to do one-to-ones. You can squeeze one-to-one meetings in all day long if you like, because of Zoom and whatnot. Yeah, so let's talk about one.
First of all, one of the biggest complaints that I used to get was I don't have time to network. Well, you got time
Yeah.
now. So, this is, as you said, the perfect time to do that. And what one-to-ones, there's a direct link between increased referrals and one-to-ones. We did a study in Italy, BNI in Italy, and we found that people who did 4 one-to-ones, that's where you sit down with somebody, let me tell you about how you can refer me, you tell me about how you can refer you spend an hour, you do these one-to-ones. People who do 4 one-to-ones a month versus 1 one-to-one a month pass 100% more referrals, twice as many referrals, and they receive twice as many referrals. I put that in a podcast. You can find that in a podcast at bnipodcast.com. I think it's episode 570. Okay. And we show the data where, look, you want to double the amount of referrals you give and get, do 4 one-to-ones a month. That simple.
Absolutely right. Absolutely right. I mean, gosh, I could go on all evening now, Ivan. Now that you've opened the door to talk about BNI specific things, believe me. But I also love the idea of visibility, credibility, and profitability. Yeah. That is just something that has worked for me. I am a walking testimony of that happening. Get involved. You become credible, and then you become profitable. It earns money. So, could you mind explaining that just to people who may not understand that concept?
Yeah. So I think networking is too often used as a face-to-face cold calling opportunity. Hi, my name's Ivan. Let's do business, and people just jump right into doing business or trying to do business. And I'm here to tell you that's not the most effective way to network. Instead, what you want to do is the VCP process, which you mentioned. First, you have to create visibility. People have to know who you are and what you do. Then you have to establish credibility. So where people know who you are, they know what you do, they know you're good at it. That takes time. And it could take months to create that kind of credibility. Then and only then can you get to profitability where people know who you are, they know what you do, they know you're good at it, and they're willing to refer you on an ongoing reciprocal basis. And the VCP process is the cornerstone of everything I teach with networking. And what I see is people, they try to jump over visibility, they try to jump over credibility and get right to profitability. In one of my books, we call that premature solicitation, which you don't want to say fast 3 times. It'll get in trouble.
Brilliant. Just to maybe put you on the spot here, do you have a favorite role within a chapter? Is there one that you think, actually, I really like that more than anything? It resonates better with me and my personality.
Yeah, so the only role I ever had in BNI at a chapter was the president. I was the president of the first chapter, and so I didn't have any other chapter roles. I think the vice president is probably one of the most important because they're the quality control person. They help to make sure that the quality of the membership is maintained, and they help to make sure that quality people are coming in. I think the visitor host is also very important. The person who welcomes visitors into the in-person meetings, that's a very important role to have. So, but I think the president is the face of the chapter and certainly can make a big difference.
Well, I would absolutely agree. I think actually, the president role controls the culture, controls the way the meeting is run. But actually, for me, visitor host is actually the most profitable role, if I'm honest with you, because you connect with so many people who might not join the chapter, right? But you can still do business with them because you have so many touch points with them. I love that role as a visitor host.
Yeah, so, it is a good role to meet a lot of visitors. Yeah,
very good. So, the future. Let's look at the future, Ivan. We're going to come out of this. We're all trying to thrive and not survive. We are getting out of our own way in terms of we're doing things that help us get on in life. What's the future look like? So, BNI, you talked about online meetings. Are there particular industries that you think actually are going to benefit from this? Environmental? What are your thoughts on where that lies?
Well, I think BNI is going to transition back to in-person meetings. The question is when. We won't do it until it's safe, and our plan is to test in different countries where the COVID virus rates are very low, and then in larger countries like the United States, start in states where the COVID virus is very low. So, I mean, safety is number one. So we want to make sure to do this when people, when it's safer to meet in person. So I think we're going to see a few more months of online in some areas and transition sooner in other areas. I think we're coming out into a recession, and I think a lot of people are going to be downsized. One of the things I've discovered in every previous recession was when people get downsized, many of them start their own business. And when you have a lot of people who have years of experience, but have decided to go into business, you get really good business people because they've got experience. They just they're new in that business. And what happens is there's a big influx of small business, new small business owners, but small business owners with experience. And so I think what we're going to see is a spike, as I've seen in every other recession, a spike in new businesses because of downsizing from big companies.
Absolutely right. You're absolutely spot on. You really are. If you wouldn't mind, I've just got a question that's come up on my eye line about member engagement. Forgive me for putting you on the spot again, Ivan, but member engagement, because there is some maybe Zoom lethargy going on, and people are saying, well, why should I keep going on? So what's the tips for, maybe a president or a chapter director in terms of keeping members engaged within their chapters whilst we are in this online?
I think it's a training thing. You want to, as a chapter leader, you want to remind people, take that mobile device and put it aside. Don't be doing email while you're sitting in front of the Zoom. As a matter of fact, if you're going to do anything, take notes about what people are saying. I have found that on these Zoom meetings, if I'm just taking a few notes, I'm paying attention. And the key right now is you got to pay attention, because people will constantly, throughout a meeting, they'll say something that was like, wait a minute, I think I know somebody that could use that.
Yeah.
And so, especially if you have a chapter that is getting really laser specific with their weekly presentations, and every week they talk about a different product or service they have to offer, that kind of information is invaluable. And it's important that the president tell the members every week, stay engaged, take notes. If I were president of a chapter, this isn't policy.
No.
But if I were president of a chapter, I would tell everybody I'm going to call on someone at the end of the weekly presentations, and I'm going to ask you to share what one person, and I'm not going to tell you who, one person said in their weekly presentation. So now that people, you're going to see people go, oh, man, I better pay attention. and then I would call on one or two people and say, okay, Liam, what did so-and-so say about their business this week? And, that just gets people focused.
Brilliant.
On doing what they should do anyway. But we have this issue more online because it's easier to be, doing something else simultaneously, multitasking, which you don't want to do. You want to stay focused.
Absolutely right. And that's brilliant. I mean, I'm, as I say, president of a chapter, and we're maybe putting that in this week. So that's fantastic. We've got a couple of minutes left. What's the future hold for Ivan? What does the next maybe 6 months look like, and then the future of that?
So, my role with the company has changed over the last few years. I'm the spokesperson for BNI. I'm sort of I think this will translate well in the United Kingdom. I'm sort of the Colonel Sanders of BNI for, Kentucky Fried Chicken. So a little thinner, I think, but I'm sort of
certainly slimmer, certainly.
Certainly I have the hair, no question about that. So it's, my role is to do this. And I think that it's very important that business people understand that as much as possible, if you can work in your flame instead of your wax, you are going to love what you do. When you're in your flame, you're doing something that you love doing, you're passionate about it. People can see it in the way you behave. They can hear it in your voice. When you're working in your wax, it takes all your energy away. And people can hear that in your voice, and they can see that in the way you behave. And so, as you are in business, find those pieces of the business that are your flame. And I get it where sometimes you got to do what you got to do to get to do what you want to do. I understand that, but as much as possible, be working towards your flame. So these days, it's taken me 30 some years, but I today work mostly in my flame, which is this: doing interviews, pouring into members, doing speeches. This is, I love doing this, and I don't see me stopping anytime soon.
Brilliant. That is, I've only heard it once before and I've forgotten it, but working your flame, not in your wax, is just the takeaway for me on that. And that's it. So, well, thank you. Where can people go to find more about you and about BNI? I mean, I can do the promotion of the BNI, but more about you and your work and your writing and things like that.
So BNI.com for anyone interested in visiting online, a BNI group. And of course, and if they're in your area, they should connect directly with you, and you can invite them to your chapter.
Absolutely.
I have a blog. The blog is ivanmisner.com. The spelling of Misner is on the screen. ivanmisner.com. And I've been blogging, I've been posting twice a week since 2007. So I have literally more than 1,000 articles and videos that I've posted over the years. A lot of great content. It's all free.
Really, I don't know where you get the energy from. I really don't.
I love what I do.
You must be very, very fit. But I would love to say thank you so much. And it would be remiss of me not to take this opportunity to say thank you so much for what you did 35 years ago. Because believe me, if you didn't do what you did 35 years ago, my life wouldn't have changed in the last 2 years as it has. And so I owe you a real debt for things that you've done, because it changed my life. BNI has changed my life. And I will tell that story to anyone who wants a coffee at any one point. So thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. Thank you.
Thank you, Liam. I really appreciate that. And sometimes people say, you probably heard this a lot, but you can never hear that too much. When you've been able to help people, especially during difficult times, it feels good. Thank you.
Absolutely. Have a great afternoon, and we will see you very soon.
Thank you, and say hello to your chapter for me.
Thank you very much, Ivan.
Bye-bye.
I will. Bye-bye. Thank you. Bye. And that was Ivan Misner. Absolutely brilliant. Please put your comments in down below if you enjoyed that. We knew that he was a brilliant speaker. So thanks for watching. We'll be back on Wednesday at about 11:45 with another guest, somebody as high profile as Ivan. So until then, stay safe, be good, wash your hands, love one another, and be kind more than anything, because you're a long time dead. So we'll see you on Wednesday about 11:45.